one at a time, and we'll get the job done. Y'all know what to say. On three. 1, 2, 3.
And the home of the Jets.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We're closer to 4th of July weekend, thank goodness. And I have Joe Caporoso. This guy is like a Jets content legend. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Season's creeping up on us. It's coming up fast.
Yeah, and it started training camp's 3 weeks away or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the extra early preseason this year of the Hall of Fame game, but it feels insane that it's really almost here already.
Yeah, it's awesome. So before we talk Jets, tell me what made you a fan of the New York Jets?
Well, my grandpa on my mom's side of the family was a season ticket holder all the way back to Shea Stadium. So when I was little, him and my uncle, my mom's brother, took me to a game. I believe I was born in 87. Unfortunately, my first game was the Dennis Byrd game, which stuck with me. But then after that, I started going probably to 4 or 5 games a year from that point on, from a little kid. And I got hooked right away. I mean, I played football myself my whole life, starting at as a 5 or 6 year old. So I had that. And then I had going to Jet games. I was at the home playoff game that they won in 98 against the Jaguars. I thought that would be the first of many I'd see of home playoff wins. That was actually the only one I've seen in my life. Sadly, I watched the win over the Colts on TV. I didn't make it out to the stadium for that one. But yeah, I got hooked at an early age from going. I was lucky my family had season tickets. And up until pretty recently, I was probably at 4 to 7 home games a season. So that's what really stuck it with me.
Now, you guys do an incredible job at Turn on the Jets and Badlands. What made you get into doing all this, man? Because it's just and it's grown so much over the years, man, which is remarkable.
Thank you. I mean, when I was in high school, I remember writing on the ESPN message boards as the first place I ever wrote about the Jets. So I was doing that. Then when I got into college, there was a lot of different small outlets at the time. I was writing for Bleacher Report when it was sort of a different model. Then I joined this affiliation of blog networks. They had one for every NFL team, had one for every NBA, NHL, MLB team, and it was called Turn on the Jets. And I did that for, a couple of years and got a little bit of attraction on Twitter. Blog network shut down. I bought the domain to keep it. And really from that point on, was just cranking at it every single year. The podcast started around then. I started working with Connor and Dalvin Osorio and a handful of other people who we've been lucky enough to work with throughout the years who've came and went. Obviously, of course, Connor and Dalvin are still kicking out there. And then I'd say I think it's 3 or 4 years ago, wanted to try something different. Didn't want to stop talking about the Jets or tweeting about the Jets like a crazy person, but had been doing the Turn on the Jets thing for so long that decided with Connor to launch a subscription test or a subscription model. We started it with this 10-part docuseries, basically 10 episodes of why the Jets had missed the playoffs for 10 years. And we had so much fun doing it. And people were like, you guys should just, keep it going, that we did. And it's turned into a Patreon now. And kind of feels like we're running Turn on the Jets again, just through a Patreon and through Badlands, which is great. And we're lucky that we still get to work with a lot of people who we worked with at Turn on the Jets. Will Parkinson has taken over the TOJ pod and is doing an awesome job with it and also works with us at Badlands. And Connor and myself are lucky in that we've been talking about the Jets together for so long now that it's just second nature. And you know this, when you podcast with someone about the Jets, you're both just Jet fans, we can just go on and riff sort of about anything, current, past, present. So it's been a lot of fun. It's turned into something bigger than I think either of us expected it to be. It's not, for both of us, it's one of a few things we do in sports media, but it's always good to talk Jets. It's a great outlet. And this year in particular should be fun and different, very different than anything we've seen in a while. So I'm truly counting the seconds to getting to this season in a way that I can't recall. Maybe since I can't recall. It's been a long time, as you know.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. It's how does it feel to actually talk about a team that has legitimate talent on both sides of the ball, an incredible quarterback? I mean, we're usually talking about draft in October. We're talking about free agency, what coach we're going to hire, who's the next general manager. And now it's a team with so much anticipation. For you, man, how exciting is this for you and how refreshing is this?
It's very refreshing. I can't tell you how exhausting it is to be in that October, November draft cycle and to be hoping the team could go 7-9 or 7-10 and be considered progress or a successful season.
Yep.
For them to be so openly talked about as a playoff team and a team with playoff expectations and a team that should be competing to win the AFC East. It's been a very long time. I think, 2016 coming off that surprise 2015 season, I think a lot of people thought they could be a playoff team. Found out very fast that wasn't going to happen this year. And really since then, I cannot remember a single season where they were expected really by anyone to be a serious playoff team. It was, let's just build, let's build. It's year 2 of the process. It's year 3 of the process. And that's a grueling, exhausting way to watch football. At a certain point, you want to be playing to win games, to get to the playoffs, to compete for a championship. And, could they do all of that this year? I don't know. But I could say on paper that they are good enough to be a playoff team and they are good enough to legitimately compete to win the AFC East. And if they can do that, could finally break this home playoff drought and turn a corner that they've needed to turn for 12 years now, which still at times seems incomprehensible to me that it has stretched out this long, because when I was growing up, the Jets were better than their reputation. They were good consistently from 1997 to 2010. We're in 3 AFC championship games. Every other year, they either had a winning record or were in the playoffs. They won a decent amount of playoff games. They had a lot of memorable moments. And I never got it at the time when they had this horrible reputation as like a joke of a franchise from a national coverage perspective. And now these last 12 years, it's kind of, set in, and here we are. I don't realize how spoiled I was, for the team just, being 10-6, every other year.
Now, what is your take? The rumor today is the Jets are going to be forced to do Hard Knocks. What is your take on this whole Hard Knocks thing?
I mean, personally, I like it. I don't buy that it's going to negatively impact their play, because the last time they were on Hard Knocks, they went to the AFC Championship game. It's like one of the most successful seasons they've had in franchise history, probably the second most successful season. Even you look at last year, the Lions were on Hard Knocks. They had one of their best seasons in recent memory. Yeah. And as a fan, why wouldn't I want that extra level of access and coverage and certain things that, as great as One Jets Drive is and all the stuff that the team does, HBO's it's a different level and a different beast. And it's for this season, it's just another fun thing to see and have access to. And I don't see it as something that they can't overcome. There's already cameras all over the building. They're already a national team this year. Yep. So why not get a little more exposure? Why not get some of the fun moments that come from that? You'll get to know more about certain parts of the roster that you just wouldn't if you weren't on the show. And you'll get to see a little more inside baseball elements that you just wouldn't if they aren't on it. So I think it's probably going to happen. I've been saying that for a while now. A lot of people have been saying that for a while. It's understandable why the NFL wants the Jets on for this year, especially since they're still a candidate and there's only a small handful of teams who are candidates. And I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I think us as fans are going to enjoy it. And I've seen the Jets overcome the distraction of being on Hard Knocks and be just fine.
Yep. Well, I think I'm not opposed to it either. I think it's just a matter of time. Aaron Rodgers is here. They're a national story. I think secretly Woody Johnson probably loves it too. It's more exposure for his team. Oh, yeah. He can make money on it and everything else. Now, I think one of the bigger stories could be potentially is Quinnen Williams and his contract if it's not done before training camp, which I think would be ridiculous. What is your take on this whole Quinnen Williams contract? Do you think it gets done before camp? And are you surprised it lasted this long so far?
I do think it gets done before camp. I would be surprised just from a business perspective if they let that distraction carry into training camp with everything else going on. They have the money to make it happen. Quinnen is coming off a legitimate all-pro season. He's right in his prime. He's a homegrown top 3 pick. At this point, the contracts are slotted for the people who play his position. It should not be that complicated to negotiate. Right. I'm sure it's coming down to 4 years versus 5 years. Can they squeeze a little more guaranteed money out of it? I'm not surprised each side is being a little patient and trying to wait out the other side, because if he signs it today versus signing it in 15 days, it's not that big of a difference. Right. I do think we're starting to inch a little closer to the window where kind of like looking at the clock and sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think, all things considered, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, this gets done. I don't think he misses any time in training camp. I just can't see this all-in type of offseason, all the hype going on around it. This being something they let bleed into preseason, bleed into Hard Knocks, bleed into being a distraction for the locker room. Quinnen's too good. He's too important to what they do on defense. And it's too clear what his value is from the other players, so many of whom got paid at his position, that there's no reason it shouldn't get done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm kind of surprised it lasted this long. And as the contracts coming out, you're like, oh man, I'm like, is his value going to leave a little bit higher? Like, is he going to get paid a little bit more? But I think other than Quinnen, the second story could be the Jets' offensive line, primarily Mekhi Becton. And this is where Mekhi Becton was everybody's favorite player, lost all this weight, great on social media, very positive. Then all this left tackle talk came out. Looked like he kind of pissed off Sal a little bit, rubs people the wrong way. Now it's like, all right, I still think Dwayne Brown's a left tackle, but what do you think about this whole Mekhi Becton situation? Do you think he has a chance to actually play left tackle?
I do think Dwayne Brown is going to be the left tackle. I think it was probably an understanding between both sides before he came back for one more year and came back healthy that they were going to go all in for a veteran quarterback, and that if Brown was going to come back, he'd be the day one left tackle. Now, can he stay healthy? Can he hold on to that job? That's a little bit more of an open-ended thing. I just think, particularly with Rodgers now, he's going to want that comfort level of a guy with Dwayne Brown's resume protecting his blind side, being that left tackle, where I know Brown's older and I know he played through pain last year and was okay, but you look at that resume and how established he is, it makes sense. He did not come back to switch positions. He did not come back to be a backup. He will start as the expected left tackle. Coaching staffs like players with high floors, even if it comes with a slightly lower ceiling. They know exactly what they're getting from Dwayne Brown every time he steps out there. Yep. There's no surprises. There's no miscommunications. And he could be okay. I think with everything they've had in the offensive line, they will settle for that. Now, it's a challenging situation for Becton because you get where he's coming from, where he's dealt with a lot injury-wise. He's probably more exposed to injuries if he's on the right side, which is not his natural position. I hope that he is healthy. I hope that he continues to lose the weight he has. He's without question one of the 5 most talented offensive linemen on the team, probably the second most talented offensive lineman on the team overall besides AVT. So you want your best 5 out there. So the Jets are at their best if Becton can find a way to being the right tackle with Dwayne Brown at left tackle. Now, if that doesn't work out, you're probably looking at a situation where maybe Billy Turner's starting at right tackle. He knows the offense. He's comfortable with Rodgers. That's going to give him a leg up. We don't know how Max Mitchell's going to look coming off of how last season ended, although he flashed a little bit last year. Gets a little dicey after that. I don't think they're going to play a rookie in that spot. So, look, in an absolutely perfect world, would it be awesome if Mekhi Becton was a dominant left tackle? Yes. It's just hard for me to bet on that happening with how little football he's played the last 2 years and who Dwayne Brown is, which is still a pretty good player who has a ridiculous resume over his entire tenure in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just curious if it gets a situation where Becton's playing right tackle and he's like, you know what? I don't want to play here. Like, could there be a situation where they trade him? They're like, you know what? They get, say, halfway through training camp or 3 weeks in the training camp, like, you know what? Away he goes. Is that a scenario, you think?
I don't think it's off the table. It seems like it's a tough thing relationship wise right now. And things happen at camp or things come to a head pretty quickly. I never thought the Jets were going to trade Elijah Moore, and just like went downhill and he was gone. And I up until the moment they traded him, I said, well, let's see it. Let's see it with Rodgers. Let's see how he looks with a different system. So nothing really surprises me anymore. It would be a shame if it went that way. And I'm sure we will get a handful of surprise cuts this year or trades, because that seems to happen every year. So I can't write that off after watching how quickly things pivoted with a guy like Moore.
Yeah. Now, what did your take on the center position? Because they brought back McGovern at a crazy cheap deal. Then they went out and they drafted Tippmann, which is kind of a surprise to many. A lot of people wanted JMS. Did you have a preference between JMS and Tippmann? And what do you think about the center position?
I like JMS better than Tippmann. It doesn't mean that I didn't think Tippmann was a quality second-round prospect, and I'm just happy they finally drafted a center. I've been waiting for them to draft a center forever. Spencer Long, Wesley Johnson, the last couple of years of McGovern, who, to his credit, has been better than those guys, but still. I'm happy they invested in the future of the position. Higher ceiling, Tippmann. Higher floor, McGovern. Wouldn't surprise me if the coaching staff was more comfortable starting the season with McGovern, who's a veteran, who's been their guy all 3 years here for this regime. Now, by the bye week, if McGovern is below average and they liked what they saw from Tippmann over the summer, could you see a switch at some point? Sure, because Tippmann athletically is a really intriguing player and would bring a dimension to the Jets run game that I don't think McGovern does. And without question, they're going to view him as the guy of the future going forward. It's one of the more interesting positions to watch on the offensive side of the football from a competition standpoint, because I do think Tippmann could win the job over the summer. I just think their probably day one internal expectation is that it's McGovern's job to lose until Tippmann could take it from him.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think they had Tippmann at guard a couple times in OTAs too, which is interesting. So he's got versatility, which is good. So you look at the offensive line as a whole. You have Dwayne Brown coming off injury, Mekhi Becton coming off injury, AVT coming off injury, potentially a rookie center, and Tomlinson, who has to play better than he did last year. What is your level of confidence with this offensive line, with the new coach, with the new offensive coordinator?
I'm a little worried about it. I'd be lying if I wasn't. The Jets have played a lot of offensive line Tetris the past couple of years where AVT's playing 4 different positions. They're sliding through different tackles and guards. And it just feels like they can never settle into a rhythm of just like, these are our 5 guys. They're starting every week. Everyone has some kind of question mark around them, which is alarming. Whether they're coming back from injury, whether they just stunk last year like Tomlinson, which was a disappointing anomaly. I would think he has to be better than he was last year. I don't know how he could be any worse. So look, I want to see AVT back out there. I want to see how center shakes out. I want to see Dwayne Brown out there getting reps. And look, maybe we get a pleasant surprise where Max Mitchell is really good in year 2 and he comes back and he's healthier right away and making an impact. Or Billy Turner is just fine if he has to start 6 or 7 games at right tackle. Not great, but fine. I mean, you look at a guy like Herbig last year, he was pretty good, for a period of time when he had to come in off the bench. Wasn't great, didn't last forever, but if you could get some of these guys to plug and play if there are injuries, and there will be injuries, there's always injuries. Can Schweitzer hold down a spot for a couple weeks? Maybe. So I don't think it's one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. I don't think it's one of the best. I think if they could just be league average, they're good enough at quarterback. They're good enough at receiver 1. And they're good enough at running back 1 if Breece Hall could be an alien and be himself by October or November, where it's not going to seriously impede them from being a contender in the AFC.
Now, you mentioned Breece Hall, who obviously a fan favorite, who's on probably a rookie of the year last year prior to his injury. Coming back, looks great in all the little videos we see, but my personal perspective is don't rush him back, man. If he comes back, kind of break him in slowly. Like, I want him important in like December, January, February. I don't really care about September, October. If that's the case, do you consider a Dalvin Cook, or do you say, you know what, I feel comfortable with Izzy, Michael Carter, and Bam Knight?
I don't hate the idea of adding a veteran running back for the reason that it helps ease the temptation to rush Breece back. Because I think you said it perfectly. This is a season, unlike previous seasons, where you want to be able to really compete in December, January, and February. You need Breece to be Breece then down the stretch. So bring him back slow. Don't give him that full workload until after the bye week. If you can do that, easier to do that if you have an established veteran, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott. There's differences, of course, between all those guys. Cook is the most exciting batch of that batch. But to have another proven veteran where you can really ease it back with Breece, have 2 very established backs like Rodgers had in Green Bay, so they can lean on the running game when they want to and not put too much on him as he's settling into a new team. I don't hate it. And I'm very excited about Izzy. I think he's going to bring a home run element to the offense that's going to be exciting to watch. And as the depth chart stands now, could really go grab that number 2 running back role and take a big chunk of the action early in the season while Breece is not fully right. I'm not all the way out or all the way down on Carter or Bam. I just wonder, new running game coordinator, new offensive line, is Carter going to fit as well with what they want to do coming off a pretty disappointing season? Bam, let's see him if the offensive line's a little better. Definitely a bit of a different running style. I just think with Izzy, they took him, they took him for a reason. And I think he had some pop that those guys don't. But I'm still watching and expecting a veteran running back at some point, even if Cook ends up going to Miami or going somewhere else. I think at some point in August, they will add another guy who has a lot of carries on his resume to ease that Breece Hall temptation. So he could really be himself when you're competing with Buffalo and Miami for the AFC East down the stretch run.
Yeah, I'm also have concerns about just blitz pickup, pass protection, stuff like that. I'm sure Rodgers wants a reliable guy next to him, like a veteran that's been there, done that, knows what's going on, not like somebody that gets overwhelmed easily. Going to wide receivers, which you mentioned, Garrett Wilson, superstar in the making, probably having on the verge of a breakout year this year after one last year. But other than him, are you comfortable with the wide receiver group where you have McCole Hardman, you have Allen Lazard, Corey Davis is still here? It seems like the Jets still need another receiver, which is kind of crazy because in years past, we were happy about David Nelson, right? But now we have actually has some talent, but it seems like they need one more piece. Or am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, I wouldn't mind them having just a little more pop on the outside. I think that's what they were thinking when they were chasing Odell. Now, I don't have a problem with them not paying Odell what the Ravens paid him. That money got out of control. I think their plan A was to get him, though, and they expected to get him. And it seems like the plan B is just bring Corey Davis back on less money, run the Jamison Crowder playbook, and hope he's happy to take a pay cut and roll as more of a backup. And on paper, it's pretty good. Like Lazard is going to have good chemistry with Rodgers. I think he will be the true number 2 guy behind Wilson because of his comfort level. And because I think they signed him to be a better version of what Corey Davis does in their mind. He plays more consistently. He could block. He'll do the dirty work. Won't drop as many passes, hopefully. Then you move Davis down into a role where he's still a good player. Maybe he's fine in a more limited role. Hardman adds a speed element that they haven't had in a bit. How they use him in the jet sweep game and the screen game will be interesting to see. But he's also coming off a year where he was banged up. And then with Randall Cobb, are they going to force him into the offense? Is he going to have a situational role on third downs? We'll see. We know he's going to make the team with how they structured the contract. So there's a little depth. The question is going to be, can a guy like Lazard go be an 800, 900 yard guy next to Garrett Wilson, take advantage of all the attention that he gets? And how big of a role do they envision for a guy like Hardman? Is it more than being a gadget player? Can he do more from a vertical element? If he can't, it will feel like the receiving room is missing a little bit. Also, I'm sure that they are thinking internally, after all the money they spent on Conklin and Uzama, that with a better quarterback, those 2 guys will look better and produce more consistently. And they also have a couple young, interesting guys at tight end with Ruckert and Kuntz, and who they can move around and gives them a little more flexibility than they had last year overall. So as a group of pass catchers, it's a lot better than we've seen in recent years. Having a guy as good at Garrett Wilson gives you a much higher ceiling. But man, if you're really competing for a Super Bowl, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have one more really explosive player in that group.
Yeah, I'll save my Aaron Rodgers questions to the end. So we'll go to defensive side of the ball, where the defensive line, you got a lot of talented players, a lot of high-priced players. But the one question I have for you is, do you feel good about the run defense, man, where they lost Frankins, they brought in Woods, they brought in Jefferson? Do you think it's enough? Do you think they'll still be stout against the run?
I mean, I feel a lot better that they got Woods in late in the offseason. They needed a guy like that who could chew up some of the early downs. It's a fair question until we see them out there. Quentin Jefferson is going to help more in that, like Sheldon Rankins pass rush role. Solomon Thomas struggled a lot last year, but he's going to be part of this rotation. All these coaches have their guys who are going to get thrown in and get reps. So look, I think Woods will help a little bit. Quinnen, he's paid. He's right. He's a wrecking ball in the middle of the defense. I think the Jets want to be built to, we're playing with a lead. We can get after your quarterback. We're a little less worried about you running the football on us. And with a linebacker like CJ Mosley, still calling the shots in the middle of that defense, they should have enough to get away with it. Because I think if you look at their entire collection of defensive line talent, including John Franklin Myers and Clemens, and now adding Woods and Jefferson and Quinnen, and then the 4 edge rushers that they have, it's like a top 3-ish group in the NFL. Especially with Lawson a couple years removed from his major injury, a first-round pick in there at McDonald, another first-round pick in Johnson, who should have some type of year 2 jump, and one of the best pass rush specialists in the NFL with Huff. So that entire group is right up there with anyone else in the NFL. And then they're aided on the back end by maybe the best cornerback trio in the NFL, if not one of the 3 or 4 best. So I understand the concern, but there is also a certain point where you're not going to be great everywhere, but they are probably great enough as an overall group between those two areas where they'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially the pass rushers, they're loaded. You mentioned the corners. The one question I have is, and it's kind of like a every day on Twitter, is like, where's Quan Alexander? Get Quan back. Is that an indictment on how good Quan was last year, or the uncertainty of Sherwood and Nasruddin?
I mean, it's a little of both. Quan's a well-known name. He's been around the league. He has some, flashy big hits last year. He's a good player without question. Now, I think the market is speaking a little bit to what his overall value is. And he didn't sign last year until I think like the last week of July. So I wouldn't write off him coming back. It's just a matter of, if I'm going to come back for you guys, I know what the money is. I'll come back right before training camp. I know exactly what my role is. It's all good. Sherwood, we just haven't seen it yet. Certainly not from Nasruddin. I know Sherwood got a little bit of action. I'm not confident he is better than Alexander yet. Maybe the coaching staff believes that he can make that kind of jump in a relatively limited role because they just paid Quincy. He's going to play that much more. We know Mosley's going to be out there every snap. I was excited about the potential of 3 safety looks before they lost Clark to his injury, because I really thought they could have done a couple things where Clark or Whitehead could drop down into the box and be a de facto third linebacker in certain personnel groups. A lot harder to do now with him out. Can't do it quite as much with Amos. Maybe with Tony Adams, who I know the coaching staff loves. I certainly would not hate it if they brought Quan back. I don't want to act like he's an all-world linebacker, but it never hurts to have more depth.
Yeah, the Tony Adams thing is interesting because the Jets obviously got to be really high on him, but you kind of want that rangy safety to run around. They probably hope it was Ashton Davis. That's clearly not the case. I'm not sure how Ashton's still here, but I guess if you said there's 2 little holes, it would probably be safety and, getting Quan back in the year. But so last year, the Jets had a great defense. I think the expectation this year is this defense could be just as good because they won't be on the field as much, right? And they're playing with a lead. So they could probably pin their ears back. They can get the turnovers they didn't get last year. They can get the big sacks and close out games. So could you figure like a top 10 defense, do you think?
This should be a top 10 defense. I'd be surprised if they were. And I think in a lot of major categories, they were anywhere from like top 4 to top 7 last year. So maybe they take a small step back because they don't play as many backup quarterbacks, but maybe they take a small step up because they finally fall on a goddamn fumble and force a couple more turnovers. and that swings their way a little bit. Also, as you said, that defense was constantly put in a horrible position last year. You think back, I always like to use the Lions game as an example. You think back to the Lions game, this defense, they're not great. They blew it in a big spot on 4th and 1. They could have iced the game. Look back to how Detroit, one of the best offenses in the league last year, scored their points in that game. Braden Mann kicks a line drive, 20-yard punt that gets ran back for a touchdown. And Zach Wilson throws a brutal interception that gets ran back inside the 20. The defense was hung out to dry all game, and they were yet still in a position to win it because of how well the defense played, not how well Zach Wilson played. That was a common thing. They were constantly put in a bad spot. They will be put in a bad spot less this year. That's why I'm not as worried about the regression concerns or playing less backup quarterbacks, which inevitably will happen again. They will play backup quarterbacks again. Yep. So it feels like a top 6 to 10 defense to me, which if you compare with a top 6 to 10 offense, that's how you make the playoffs. And that's how you compete for a spot in the AFC East. And hopefully with a better punter, with Hardman adding some juice to the return game, they're better on specials than they were last year because they sneakily were really disappointing on specials last year because Berrios, everyone, he was an all pro. Like he kind of stunk last year. So hopefully they'll be better in the return game. And of course they were a disaster punting the football last year. And that should be better this year with Morstead, the few times that they have to punt.
All right, Joe. So better special teams, top 10 defense. Now let's talk about the guy that everybody's talking about, and that's Aaron Rodgers. What is it like to sit back and be like, Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback of the New York Jets, man? Like, it's not like, I'll admit to you, man, I watch the videos way too many times than I should on Twitter, watching him throw a football. That's how, like, it's ridiculous to see him actually here. What are your thoughts on Rodgers joining, man?
Still surreal. Because it was something that, it was fun to like bat around on Twitter starting like late last season as an option. To actually see it follow all the way through, to have a guy that good end up here, it's a very unique thing. And it's not comparable to the Favre situation. Favre was traded here in August. He did not want to be here very clearly. It was a ladder to get to Minnesota. this is very different with how early Rodgers got here and being so closely removed from multiple MVP seasons and coming off a year where all you did was watch the Jets and say, God, if they just had league average play, they would have won 10 games and made the playoffs. And now, even Rodgers coming off a down year for him would have been one of the best quarterback seasons in Jets history.
Yep.
It opens up the ceiling and the range of opportunities for this team in a way that we haven't seen from them in a while. It's just not how the quarterback position has gone. You had the fluky season from Fitzpatrick. You had Sanchez, who immediately it became clear was going to be more of a game manager, even if he was clutch in certain moments. He had the little moment before he got hurt where Pennington looked like he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but then he got hurt and he was never quite that guy again. Yep. And with Vinny, it was like lightning in a bottle for 1 year before he got hurt. So with Rodgers, if he's right, he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. It gives you a chance to win every single week, no matter who you're playing, which the Jets just haven't had at the quarterback position. And that, it just changes your perception when you look at the schedule, because they all of a sudden these games where you're like, that's probably a loss. Like, well, it could be a win because Rodgers could go out and throw for 370 yards and be totally locked in. So that is why I think it's fair that their odds have swung and people are taking them seriously as a contender.
No, I completely agree. It's like week in and week out, you have a chance to win the game. And that hasn't always been the case with the Jets. We had to hope for bad weather and fumbles and injuries. And now it's like we have a team that can compete with anybody. Now it's a matter of winning. And so winning is, what is a realistic expectation for this team? And I'll be honest with you, dude, I'm looking 10, 11 wins. You've got to make a run at the AFC East. And anything less than that to me is kind of unacceptable. I mean, we just spent a half hour talking about the talent on this team, man, right? Anything less than 10, 11 wins and not making a legitimate run seems like it's something had to go wrong.
I agree. Before the Rodgers trade, my stance was Saleh and Douglas just get in the playoffs. Otherwise, they're both gone. When you go get Rodgers, going 9-8 and losing wild card weekend is not good enough. You need to win 11 games, which if you ask me today, I'd say they're going to go 11-6. Subject to change, but now I'm sticking with 11-6, and they should be right there competing for the AFC East. In my mind, and maybe this is greedy, for me, a successful season feels like winning the AFC East, hosting and winning a home playoff game, and then you take it from there. If they lose to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, or they lose a tight one in Cincinnati divisional weekend after winning a home playoff game, it's going to be hard to feel like deeply disappointed with the season after everything we've been through. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. Like, you absolutely have to make the playoffs. And then you got to make some noise in the playoffs. Be in the mix where if a couple of things break your way, you're right there to seriously, contending for a Super Bowl. I don't expect them to make and win the Super Bowl because I'm a Jet fan and I can't vocalize that and take myself seriously. I would like to see them win the AFC East and host a home playoff game, and then we can take it from there.
Now, do you have any concerns about Robert Saleh handling a team that now has a tremendous amount of expectations from the media, the fans, everybody, the players themselves have all bought in? Like, you know what? They all kind of bought in. Do you have any questions about him just managing all these expectations, managing this team, and managing the big personality that is Aaron Rodgers?
It's a fair thing to question. Now, I think Saleh's shown good progress from year 1 to year 2. I think he's getting better in managing the media. I think clearly the players love playing for him. In-game management, not perfect, but got better from year 1 to year 2. For better or worse, he surrounded himself with a lot of veteran coaches on the offensive side of the football, more of a sounding board to bounce off of. He certainly seems lighter and more comfortable knowing that he knew he was in a make or break year. And now he has Aaron Rodgers. Better to go into a make or break year with Aaron Rodgers than Zach Wilson or Jimmy Garoppolo or Jacoby Brissett or what some of the other names were that we were talking about. Yep. So, we're going to see. Like, they beat Buffalo with Zach Wilson under center. They did everything they could to beat New England last year, but Zach Wilson would not let them. It's not like they were dramatically outcoached in that game.
True.
It's kind of similar with some of the other situations that they were in. Now he has to win some games, right? He has to beat New England. He has to win games that people aren't necessarily expecting them to win to get some of that confidence. But I'm not going into the year being like, oh, I can't pick the Jets to go to 11-6 because of Robert Saleh. Now, when they get to being, 10-6 and they need to win the AFC East, can he coach in that spot? We don't know. He hasn't coached in a game that big yet. It hasn't happened yet. But we'll find out pretty early, because when you're a national team like the Jets and you're opening the season where they are, and then a few weeks later, you're playing the Chiefs in prime time, and then you're playing on Black Friday. Those are good tests for those type of games. They'll play down the stretch and for playoff games. So I'm rooting for him. He's an easy guy to root for, especially coming off some of the recent head coaches that they had. And I'm hopeful that he will be able to be the guy who breaks this playoff drought.
No, me too, man. That's very well said. That's the only thing. It's like there's a lot of positive things going on, and it's like with the exposure they're going to get, any little crack you have will get magnified 300 times more than usual, just because of just where the Jets are right now. They're under the radar for everybody. So, Joe, first of all, thank you for your time, man. I know it's the off season. You want to get a break before all the chaos starts. For those that don't know where to find you, which I think everybody knows who you are by now, but tell everybody how they can find you guys.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Badlands is at www.patreon.com/Badlands TOJ. Still got the TOJ in there from the Turn on the Jets days, of course. And I'm on Twitter just at Jay Caporoso, constantly sharing all the stuff from Badlands. So Connor and I will be yapping about plenty in the coming weeks. And this was fun. Season's going to be here before we know it.
No, I mean, I definitely appreciate, man. Like, you guys do a great job. I love Connor too. Connor's been great. It's like just so cool to see how you guys just over the years just took off and just cranking out content, man. It's amazing. Seriously. Congratulations. It's
Thanks,
cool.
man. Thank you, man. It's been fun.
So have a good night. Hopefully during the season we'll catch up again. Maybe get like a mid-season recap or something.
Absolutely. Always down.
Cool. Thank you, Joe.
Cool.
Have a good night. All right. So now we will go to, if you guys want to call in, we could talk about Hard Knocks. We could talk about whatever you guys want, actually, because I don't know what to talk about. So here is the link. That's the link if you guys want to call in. We'll do like calls for 15 minutes if you guys want, or we could do some questions. I think Primetime and I think Tyrone will be live tomorrow night. Primetime's cranking out all kinds of content. Let's see what you guys got here. Playoffs, a must, and win the playoffs at least. I think I want a home playoff game, to be honest with you, Matthias. That's where I want. That's kind of where we're at right there. Sweep New England, knock out Miami's quarterback, split with Buffalo. Well, you want to sweep New England no matter what. I don't think you need to knock out Miami's quarterback to beat them. I think you can beat them with Tua, and split with Buffalo makes sense to me. So that I definitely agree with. What else we got here? Top 5 defense. Julio Jones. You want a Julio Jones, Jomo? What are you talking about, man? Come on. What else we got? Mims will be cut. When's Mims going to get cut? He's the last cut in training camp? I guess that's what you guys are saying here. What else we got here? Any questions, fire them out. Anybody wants to call in. We could wrap this up. We could do. What's up, Elmo? You got to come on the show one time, Elmo. You're killing me, man. We want to know who you are. So let's bring on Mr. Liam. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, man. It's been a while.
Hey, no, where you been, man? You've just been doing your own show now. You're all popular and stuff.
No, not me, man. Doing my own show, but can never get on your level, man. Just working a lot.
No level here, man. What's your take on Hard Knocks, man?
I don't really view it as much of a distraction, to be honest with you, because I even posted the clip today. I had Mike Westhoff on a number of months ago, and I asked him like what his thoughts were. Just former head coach. The last time the Jets were on Hard Knocks, and he made a really interesting point that I didn't really even realize. He was just saying that if you wanted to be on, you weren't going to be on. He was pretty much just saying, just go out there, just coach, just throw the ball around. And that's kind of like what I think the same situation is going to be for this year's team. The Jets are going to be on as Robert Saleh as a head coach. Like, I don't really view it, like I said, as a distraction, but you don't want the extra camera crew just recording every little, piece of one Jets drive. But to me,
I mean, they're going to get so much media exposure anyway, man. I mean, the credentials now, they're going to have whatever practice, the sideline's going to be packed, the media room is going to be packed. It's Aaron Rodgers. So it's like, right. I think they're going to be under that spotlight anyway. I think the little stories could be the annoying ones where if Quinnen's holding out, if Mekhi Becton's unhappy, if something happens, I think they can get probably exposed 30,000 times more. But I mean, they're gonna be on the radar no matter what, dude. I think every little thing they do is gonna get just analyzed.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's like when the Jets have their in-house one Jets drive, like the unhappy Mekhi Becton stories won't be getting out there. Quinnen Williams holding out won't be getting out there. Where that's like the kind of thing that Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas don't want getting out.
Yep.
But Woody Johnson's got to be loving this. He loves all the attention. And then once you go all in, this is this is what comes with going all in.
100%. No, you bring Aaron Rodgers here, dude. This is the exposure they wanted. This is the attention they wanted. Now they got to come out and just maximize it. And like the Hard Knocks thing, wouldn't be ideal. I really don't care. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is such a wily veteran. He's been there, done that. He knows how to handle it. I think that he knows when to say things and not say things. I'm not really worried about that. So you go into, other than that, to me, the biggest story, I was talking to Joe about this, it's the offensive line, man. That is like, yes, Aaron Rodgers has seen every defense. He can get rid of the ball quickly. He has mobility, but you want a stout offensive line in front of him. Mekhi Becton thing, it's like, you hope Dwayne Brown's healthy. You feel comfortable there. Laken Tomlinson's got to be better. Yeah. Center, for some reason, I think Tippmann's going to start. I get that weird feeling. Or I know the Jets want him to start. If he wins the job, you have a rookie there. Then you're looking at AVT back. Hopefully he's healthy. And then Becton. Like there's a lot of ifs. If healthy. If a rookie can start, your offensive line is going to be good. That's kind of the only thing I'm a little nervous about.
Well, do you think that I like Tippmann a lot too? And I liked him. He was my favorite center in the draft. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to want a rookie as a center, or do you think he's going to want like Connor McGovern, who hasn't been the best, but hasn't been the worst? You don't really hear too much about him during the games. Like you don't really hear his name called. He just kind of maybe has a mistake here and there. He's not the best, not the worst.
Yep.
Is he going to want more of a veteran, or is he going to want to trust the rookie? To me, that's my biggest question.
Yeah, I mean, they said Tippmann's he's like a vocal guy. He's very vocal. He's a great athlete. He's a great communicator. He's intense. Like I could see. Listen, I think if it's close in training camp, I think Tippmann gets it because that's your guy you want to start for the next 5 years. Like, here you go, kid, figure it out. I think Aaron Rodgers can help him be the ears and the eyes and ears for him. Also, if you have two good guards next to him, that helps a lot too. Where McGovern would suck, and then the guy next to him was playing like shit, and then you're like, oh well, now everybody's terrible. So, yeah. But that's the one thing I look at where I'm like, man, and this whole Becton thing, that I'm telling you, that will be the Hard Knock story. You can almost feel it, dude. Like once Quentin Williams is signed, it's gonna be like, oh, where's Becton today? How's he feeling? And that camera will be following him. And that's just, I hope it's not an issue. I hope Becton embraces it, says, you know what? I'm gonna play right tackle. I'll be the best right tackle I can because I want to make $1 gazillion next year once I play a good right tackle. So then from there you go, okay, if you have a good offensive line, the Jets want to run the football, right? So are you in the Dalvin Cook sweepstakes? Or are you saying, you know what, I'd rather have a Fournette or Hunt?
I'm completely in on Dalvin Cook. I think he's 100% in need. Just to even bring that veteran experience to even just continue to coach up somebody like a Breece Hall. You have Izzy in the building. I really personally think that Michael Carter is a trade candidate, or he's just somebody on the bubble. Yeah, I mean, he's had his comments, and are they real? I mean, who else is that? So you have Izzy, you have Bam Knight, you have Michael Carter, possibly Dalvin Cook, you have Breece. Are they really going to carry all of these running backs on the team? And other than that, I mean, they're not going to get rid of Izzy. He's a rookie.
Nope.
Breece Hall's outplayed his contract pretty much already. He's a future Pro Bowl running back. He should have been this year.
Yep.
You have Bam Knight that really came on. And then you're going to have a veteran like Dalvin Cook. Michael Carter made some noise a couple months ago. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, for whatever reason, they let him go.
Yeah, I want a veteran back in the worst way, dude. I want a guy that is good in blitz pickup, good in pass protection. I want to protect Aaron Rodgers as much as possible. And I like Michael Carter. I thought he was good. I think last year he was hurt. Something happened last year. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, he just wasn't himself because he used to be powerful, dragging guys, had a burst. You didn't see any of that. Zonovan Knight looks bigger. He showed some good things. Like, they're young, exciting prospects, but this is an all-in win-now year. I take away that gray area. Like, I like Leonard Fournette. That's the kind of guy I want, but I'll take Cook. I'll take Fournette. I'll take Hunt. I want one of those guys here. If you want to wait till the second week of camp to sign them, that's fine. But I think you definitely need one of them.
And you know what's interesting, too, is Nathaniel Hackett likes fullbacks. And I don't remember what channel I was watching, but one of the guys was saying, it might have been Primetime, I'm not sure, that you might have Jeremy Ruckert kind of as a fullback.
Yep.
So,
well, they have, what's his face, Nick Bawden, too, right?
Yeah.
They have Ruckert.
He's a big body.
Ruckert could be kind of a hybrid guy where they kind of move him around a little bit because he's got a lot of talent too, especially if you want to have Conklin on the field and you have concerns about, not concerns about wide receiver, but if you want to be a little more creative, you can use Ruckert there too. Defensively, the Chuck Clark injury is huge, dude. Yeah. Out for the year. Everybody had such high expectations for him where it's like, all right, he could be your hybrid, safety, linebacker, drop him into the box. You can use all these three safeties. Now you lose him. You have Amos, you have Whitehead, you have Tony Adams. Do you think they're still in the safety market or no?
Kinda, yeah, I do, and I kind of like Collins, just like a little more, former Pro Bowler, just a little older. He's kind of, he might still live in like the area. He played for the Giants. I don't know
Yeah.
personally, but it might not be like a far move for him compared to somebody like a Johnson. I really,
Yeah.
I'm not too big on him, but if it's gonna be, I really wouldn't mind someone like Collins personally.
Yeah, you need a safety with some range, man. A guy that can run.
Yeah.
Like Whitehead's a thumper. Amos is kind of he's all right. Not really a big interception guy, but like I guess they must love Tony Adams, man. Because I was a Jason Pinnock guy. When they cut him last
Hmm.
year, I was pissed
Yep.
off. And now he's starting for the Giants.
Yeah.
So, but he was like that tall, great, athletic, rangy guy. They kind of still need that. So maybe Adams is it. Ashton Davis is definitely not it. And then
No.
you look at other than that, it's like it's Quan. Get Quan back. And then
Yep.
the defense is pretty much, I mean, to me, Quan's like the missing piece, I guess, right? At this point.
Yeah, he's got to find a way to come back. I think it will definitely get done too, and that's going to be one of the big storylines for Hard Knocks. Quan coming back, but like even like with the safeties, I've been saying like all last year, like they were a liability. Joyner and White, like
Right.
I still think Whitehead's a bust. Joyner was terrible, which is why he's no longer even on
Yep.
the team. But you got to find a way to upgrade it. I liked Amos, and I really liked the combination between Clark and Amos. Really unfortunate what happened with Clark.
Yep.
But and even like with the linebacker, I don't trust bringing Nazarene out there or
Right.
anybody else. I want a proven guy. Quan, if he could once again prove to stay healthy, that's what going all in is. It's not just trusting a guy that you signed a couple years ago, you drafted a couple years ago,
Yep.
who hasn't had the playing experience. I want playing experience.
No, especially when Quan made what league minimum last year, right?
Right?
Veteran
Yeah.
minimum, and then so this year, just say you give him like you could double his salary, dude, and it's gonna be what $2 million. Like, how much is it? Like, in
Yeah.
terms of what they have to offer, they have plenty of cap space, and it's like the one thing about with Quan is Solid praised him so much, dude, for his work ethic, his leadership, his effort, his on and off the field, just everything he brings to the table. It's like you're gonna do that for $2 million. Give it to him. Like, what are we? So
Yeah.
that's to me. Don't pinch pennies. I'm hoping, like like even Joe said. Right before training camp, he probably signs. He's been wearing like green cleats and stuff in his pictures, but that's something that don't lose him to the Steelers or $500,000.
Right. I mean, the only reason that he wouldn't be a Jet is if somebody overpays for him, to be completely
Right.
honest with you.
Yep.
I mean, like, I'm not going to give him $4 or $5 million.
$2 million.
My cap would probably
Yeah.
be like, yeah, 2, 3, even 3. You want $3 million? Go ahead.
Yep.
It's worth it. He's
No,
definitely
this
he
is
was
the
a
year.
vocal leader on the locker room last year, veteran player on the field. Get it done.
All right, so we have, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Jets, which is still ridiculous to me. Like dude, I watch these videos way too much. I'm sitting there, I'm like, gee, like this is our quarterback, right? Like you see it,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and then you hear him talk about, you see him hanging out with his teammates. You see he's doing all the right things, saying all the right things. I'm even to the point I'm watching like Nathaniel Hackett's friggin' documentaries on YouTube. Like I got all kinds of issues right now.
Yeah.
But what is a realistic expectation for this team, man? Where it's like where anything less is unacceptable. To me, it's 11 wins. And you've got to make a legit run at the AFC East, man. Like there's like come late December, we're in that little grid where it's like, all right, win this game, lose this game, you're there. Like you could take away the Bills. What do you think?
I think 12-5, you got to win the division
Yeah.
to be complete. But see, like I'm kind of getting stingy. Like I'm not going to say Super Bowl or bust, but like I kind of want to say Super Bowl or bust. But like I would 100% be happy with the AFC Championship. I'm not just gonna be like like you had just said, a win and in, like losing in like the wild card weekend or something. Like you said, you got to make noise in the playoffs. I agree 100%. The one thing I do like is I'm not saying 17-0, but there is not a single team where like any given Sunday the Jets could win the game. Kansas City, do I think they're probably a better team? Yeah, but at the same time, the Jets could get a break. You have Aaron Rodgers. Something magical could happen. Maybe you could beat the Eagles for the first time. You could beat the Patriots for the first time in a million years. There's not a team that I'm afraid of that. There's not a week that I'm going in saying this week the Jets have no chance.
No, that's the only thing it comes down to. I think they have the talent. They obviously have the quarterback, which we all know. The only thing is, can Robert Saleh go toe to toe with Andy Reid?
Right.
Like
That's
fourth
exactly.
quarter game on the line. Can he step up as a coach and be like, make the right calls, be more aggressive, know how to handle things, time management, game management? Because then it's like that's what gets you from being your average team to winning the division to make a legitimate run in the playoffs. Like that's when can you go toe to toe McDermott in a big spot and with the AFC East on the line. Like it's one thing to beat them with Zach Wilson when week 10, but if it's week 15, week 16, and all this pressure, all this buildup, all that can he step his game up as a head coach? That's kind of what I'm interested to see if he can do or not.
Well, the interesting thing with that is when you have Aaron Rodgers, like he really doesn't have to worry about the offense whatsoever. Just kind of do what got you to the dance. Just focus on the defense. You keep that defense top 5, top 7, top 8. Let Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers work their magic, and I think it will all work out. I think it will just kind of work itself out. Now, yes, you can't be doing like the bonehead timeouts or not calling timeouts like we saw in the Lions game last year.
Punting on 4th and 10 from the 40.
Right. You have to be a little more aggressive, but like hopefully like the Seahawks game. Oh my God. That was rough. Ridiculous. But like, yeah, you just got to be a little more polished. And I think he learned a lot from those mistakes because he was ridiculed last year. And he was put on blast for a lot of those bonehead mistakes. You just eliminate the bonehead mistakes and you just really focus in on the defense. You let Nate Hackett and Rodgers do their thing. And I think it's going to be a powerhouse team.
No, I think so too. And I think also Aaron Rodgers and Hackett will help him with his time management too. I think he'll have a lot more. He'll have the ability to audible, do hurry up, do all kinds of stuff, and probably save Salah from some of his mistakes as well. So give out your information, man. You guys are cranking out all kinds of content too. So give out all your show information.
Oh, thank you, man. So yeah, just everything NYJ on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Find us all there. Try to do like a video a day. Yeah, we actually have a sponsor in the works, but
look at you. Even I don't have a sponsor. Isn't this some shit? It's ridiculous.
Not official yet. We've had a couple fall through, so we're kind of working on it. I'd love to have you on again, man. I was actually just gonna reach out to you in a little while to be completely honest with you. Yeah, so if you'd love to come on, we're going live every Mondays now, so we're just kind of changing things up a little. But
wait, you're going live every Monday? What day do you think today is?
I know it's Monday.
So you want me to come on your show and I'm on my show? How we gonna do like a double cross stream or some shit?
We could do something like that, but I also do Wednesdays too, where it seems like I can kind of focus like more on Wednesdays, and my other co-hosts could kind of do like Mondays. So just trying to get as much out, man. It's just like we've just watched bad football for so long, and I started this in the 2-14 Gaze and Darnold year. So to be able to talk about this after all this, I want to talk Jets every day.
Imagine being as old as I am, dude. All the bullshit I've seen over the years. This is like you can't wake up. You're like, wow, the team's actually good. Like, I'm not lying to you guys. I'm like, oh no, it's Denzel Mims is actually a Hall of Famer. You guys just don't realize it yet.
Are you part of like I was at a graduation party and like my dad was there this weekend, like a bunch of like older Jets fans, and they're all just kind of like, yeah, like we'll wait and see. Like they're not really getting too excited. Are you in that boat at all?
Fuck that, dude. I'm 1,000%. I'm talking all kinds of shit, man. I'm talking playoffs. Yeah. I'm talking sweeping the Patriots, beating.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You can't be fired up this year, dude. If you can't talk shit this year as a Jets fan, what are you doing? Like, they've Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Done. That right there is making me talk shit, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely, 100%. All right, man.
Whenever you want me to come on. I'm down, dude.
Yeah, I'll send you a text and we'll work something out.
Let's do it. Good talking to you, man.
Thank you. Have a good night, man.
You too. Later. All right, we'll go from Liam to Joe Willie.
Hey.
What's up, man?
Tyson, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. I've been watching for a while, and you're a breath of fresh air in this particular market. You get right to the point. So when you got a video, it's like I got to watch. But outside of that, talking about, what the Jets may need or not need, I was kind of hesitant on the whole, Rodgers and Hackett, bringing, that circus here in New York. But listen, I understand the guy's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I just questioned, his want and desire a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I understand we're making a push. And it's all based on, what we were able to do with a absolutely subpar quarterback play. And we're just figuring, okay, we just need this. Let's make the push and we can get it done. Yep. That's a lot to ask for a Jet squad, I think, especially a young squad. But I guess if not now, all right, if it doesn't work out this year, maybe it's time to rebuild. You have to do a small reclamation type of project. But as far as this year goes, and what they're talking about Dalvin Cook, and with the receiver that's out there,
Hopkins.
Yeah, right. Him. That's what I said. Anyway, he's the guy we need to get. We can live without Cook. As far as I'm concerned, we need a number one set of hands. All right, which outside of Garrett Wilson, Lazard, he's slow. He's got subpar hands. McCole Hardman. subpar hands. If these guys don't step it up, it's an issue. We're looking at a lot of drops, and Rodgers will get aggravated in a hurry.
Yep. No, I completely agree.
So
That's the one missing piece where it's like you'd like
that's
to
all
have.
I got to say. On the whole subject.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, listen. Obviously, you can see this isn't my first rodeo, but oh God, man, I don't know how many seasons I got left.
But you're excited though, right?
Huh?
You're excited though, right?
Oh yeah, how can you not be excited? Like I said, I had trepidation, in the beginning, but between him and Carr, I was like, really, I mean, that's the choices. Honestly, I mean, I thought Ryan Tannehill, he's a pretty efficient quarterback, and I just think on a better offense, he showed what he could do with the receivers. That season. He blew it up at the end, but I mean, when he had AJ Brown and he had a full complement. Corey Davis was there,
Yeah.
who I think he played really well.
Yeah, man. I'm
As
all
good
in,
as I've
man.
seen him play.
Aaron
But
Rodgers,
anyway,
man. Aaron Rodgers
as
is
far
another
as that
level.
market went, for the quarterback market, being what it is, so it's pretty thin for us.
So
If
how many
Rodgers is in, I'm excited.
how many wins?
How many wins? He's definitely. I think there's a 10-win season here, but if they don't win the division, they're not going to go, further than the first or second round. Really,
Yeah,
I mean, realistically, I think,
Yep.
unless they're just getting hot,
Yeah.
at the end kind of thing.
No, it's
I
exciting,
don't
man. Win the AFC East, make a run, get a home playoff game, man. I just want a home playoff game.
Oh man. Well, listen, I'm in Florida now, so chances of me coming back up for a playoff game are slim and
I hear you.
non-existent.
Well, Joe, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, Tyson. Take
I'm
care,
good.
man. It was great.
I'm good.
Hey, how's Kevin doing? Real quick, is
He's
he
doing good,
okay?
man. Yeah, he's doing good. I think they're live tomorrow night. Him and Tyrone. He's cranking out videos and stuff. He's doing good.
Yeah, I know he's going through some stuff there for a while, so
He's bouncing
hope
back.
he's okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Have a
Be
good night.
well.
You too.
You too.
All right, Joe Willie. And now I go from Joe Willie to Joe Afram. What's up, Joe Afram?
First time, long time.
So for those watching this show, Afram, my good friend, spent over 2 hours with me last night trying to figure out
No.
Yeah, you're my IT director now.
No. It was an hour probably at best.
That was about an hour and a half. And then I saw it and I think some of your hair grew grayer from my questions I was asking you.
Hopefully it doesn't fall off. Not saying it's a bad thing, but
Afram's like, unplug this, plug that in. Hey, moron, unplug this, plug that in. Why is the light off? Yep.
you're right. We should be excited. Very much so. We finally got a lot of talent on this team.
Wait, hold on. Before we talk about talent, are you ready for Hard Knocks?
Do we have a choice?
Nope.
So
Neither do the Jets.
Let's accept it. You never know. Hi, Armand. Hi, Joe. Was it Joe? No, that's Dan. Now I know it's Dan.
Yep. You're getting sidetracked.
I cannot be excited. I mean, we're the talk on almost everything going on.
Yep.
Once that guy decided to be our quarterback, this whole franchise changed. The attitudes changed. You got kids who want to win on this team. You got talent on this team. You got depth on this team for the most part. Douglas, I don't think is finished, but we have to wait and see what's out there. We want this, but where are they? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We could talk all we want. Right now, the only thing we can go for right now is what you call it, running back. You got Fournette, you got Kareem Hunt, and you got Dalvin Cook, who I'm getting tired of him being talked about every team. So he's looking for a payday at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And not a winning attitude. So, and listen, Fournette was on a winning team.
Yep, with Brady.
With Brady. So, wide receiver, there's nothing but Hopkins out there, but he hasn't shown that he wants to be part of this team either. He's looking for his payday, and I think he's looking for at least a 2-3 year deal. I think, at least 2.
Yep.
I don't know, and for a lot of money. So, we do we have like the best receiving core? I think we have a decent.
Is that the same shirt you wore on Thursday?
No,
On the
it's
Jets
that is- It was his joke last time.
Elmo's holding you accountable right now.
That's okay.
I think wide receiver is a position they're going to still look to upgrade at some point.
Yeah,
I think
I do too. But I'm,
it's not Hopkins, man. He doesn't want to come here. He's mentioned everybody
exactly.
but Aaron Rodgers.
But you want to upgrade, but you got to wait till someone gets cut. At this point, that's the pool of players is not that big right now. So it's I'd love to pick from here, but right now it's slim pickings. It's not anything you do now is not going to be an improvement if except for the guys we've been talking about.
Well, I also think that you want to have a couple weeks of training camp, seeing all these guys in your offense actually run. Like, all right, what is Hardman bringing to the table? What does Lazard bring to the table? What does Corey Davis bring to the table? Are they all going to stay healthy? And you say you go through 2 weeks of training camp, a preseason game, like, all right, now we kind of know like this is going to be a whole problem. And the thing is, like, none of these cuts are going to happen until like the third week of the preseason, fourth week of the preseason. So a lot of these teams are going to be holding on to their players because it's just like they don't have to cut anybody. Exactly. So it's kind of like a filling out process. And I think Hackett's got to see what these guys are going to do in the offense.
Yeah.
Like maybe like this whole Denzel Mims thing, I think his days are numbered. But maybe, a football god smacked him in the head 15 times and listen, become a player.
Well, you'd see if Hackett can do something with him.
Yep.
Yep. I think as far as running back, Michael Carter, I think he'll be back. I think, like you said, he had I don't know if it was something he had with LaFleur and
I think he
escalated,
hurt, dude.
Or he no one's talked about him being injured. I don't know if it was, did they try to put him in the doghouse? I don't know, but he's still on the team. He has talent, he has ability, but I'm not against having another guy in there. It always helps. We want to run the game. We want to control the clock. We want to do stuff like that. And like Joe said, we want to get to a position where we're ahead and forcing these guys to play from behind, where they're not running as much, and we're going after the damn quarterback, which we want to do. But
what's interesting though is this rookie class, this entire draft class, I guess minus Tippmann, pretty much has no pressure on him at all. Like every year, it seems like it's a draft class. We're like, we need 4 starters. They got to contribute day one. They got to do this. You figure, just say if McGovern starts, Tippmann's a backup. McDonald's going to be a platoon player at best. Izzy, if he plays, is not going to see a lot. I mean, this draft class isn't really being asked to do a lot initially. It's like, all right, right?
And why? Because we finally brought in
talent.
We finally brought talent in. Now we're at a position where our future drafts are to replace existing starters that we have.
That's why this is how you built through the draft. See this? This is like a real NFL team almost.
Trust the process.
That's right. It's almost like there's a blueprint.
But like when he took over, we had nothing. This was the worst. This was like a dried out fruit. There was nothing left on this team. Okay. Yep. And you're putting guys who are basically backups at best starting.
Yep.
And people were upset because that's all you had. There was nobody name. And then finally, the next year you added to free agency, you brought some guys with experience, you drafted well, and now you built a team. And hopefully, he continues to do that. We see when the numbers come in as far as the cap down the road, then we can start bringing even some major players for longer periods of time. Okay, we are now in a position to keep this thing going because he built it to a point where we can keep it going.
he's building it the right way, where you're building through the draft, you have depth, you have responsible contracts, where there's a get out. Like they had a get out with Corey Davis, they had a get out with Jordan Whitehead, Conklin and Uzuma, pretty much. All right, even Carl Lawson. They restructured. They've done it. The test is Quentin Williams. That's the contract. That's the test for Joe Douglas because it should have been done already. And he's got 3 more weeks to get it done because if it goes in the training camp, it's just stupid. Let's be honest.
I just think it's from everything I'm hearing. It's just the years. The money's
get it
there
done before camp, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
And so, listen, if he wants less years, give him less years. You know.
If
it's a difference of 1 year, and he just wants to do 4 versus getting 5, like I say, then that gives you 4 years to go and draft his replacement anyway. Right?
I mean, that's it's just like, don't make a distraction. Don't make a miss training camp time. Don't piss off the locker room. You want to do 4 years is fine, and then deal with this 3 years from now. That's like, but the missing piece of all this is just now winning. Like everything is legitimately with Aaron Rodgers here now. And I'll give you the initial learning curve of just implementing the offense as the season starts. You got a tough game to start, but that's it. Learning curve is it. Other than that, this team has to win. You had the pieces in place, win football games. Period. That's it. Nothing else left.
That's it. 14-3. I'm excited.
14-3. That's what I'm talking about.
14-3.
All right.
Who are they going to lose to? I don't know, but I'm just throwing 3 out there.
So now the most pressing question: did you feed the dog?
Dog was fed earlier. He's fine. He's upstairs, lying down. The thunder and all day today. You know, he gets all he doesn't like the sound of the thunder.
These storms are wild, man. It's like it goes from sunny to monsoon and tornadoes to sunny to hurricane. There's some Florida bullshit around here.
Riley, come here, buddy. Yeah, he don't listen to me. He used to listen. Now he does his own thing.
Now he's not going to go over.
He follows my son. That's the one he goes to all the time.
That's probably who feeds him.
I know. I feed him.
He gives him the snacks. He gives him the sneak snacks.
No, you don't even remember that. He just yells at him. That's all.
Well, Afram, good talking to you, and thank you for all your IT help. Anytime. I will have a new camera next week.
You got it.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you.
All right, from Afram to my good friend Jomo.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Look at that shirt. I like that shirt right there.
I like it too, man.
What's up, man?
Nothing much, dude. Long time no talk.
Where the hell have you been?
Hanging out, working. Fucking, we got a lot of monsoons over here, so this puppy's been fucking tripping off. But yeah, man, just getting through the off season, waiting for September.
Talk to me about this Hard Knocks, man. It seems like the Jets are going to be on it. Does that bother you?
No, if we had a rookie quarterback, it would bother me a little bit more. But if it ends up being us, I think Rodgers and Saleh will be able to keep the guys in check and I don't even think they need to. I feel like the guys themselves, they kind of know what the deal is this year, and they all got to lock in. They know what it means having Rodgers come here. I think everybody's going to be on their P's and Q's. So I'm not really worried about it. They all have their own internal motivations, and just Rodgers being in the building is motivation in itself. Yeah. So, if it was Zach Wilson, I'd be pretty concerned. But it's fucking Aaron Rodgers.
All right, so you're comfortable with Hard Knocks. You're happy with Aaron Rodgers. Would you add Dalvin Cook to the equation? And if not, do you think the Jets need another veteran running back?
I think we need another veteran running back, and I think we need another receiver.
Okay.
I think those are two.
Would you pay Cook though?
I would, but I prefer Hunt.
Okay, he's probably cheaper too.
I've been a big Kareem Hunt fan throughout his career. The guy runs like a fucking bowling ball. He's a beast. I'm a big fan of his, but I'd be cool with Dalvin Cook. That would be another home run threat, another guy that could stretch the defense. Having him and Brees out there at the same time when Brees coming back healthy would be pretty cool. But I prefer Hunt out of the two. But
all right, so I'll give you Kareem Hunt, and then I definitely think they need another receiver, which is crazy because they have some talent wide receiver, but I think they need another piece. Hopkins isn't coming here, man. He's literally not said Aaron Rodgers' name over the last 2 months. He just doesn't like the guy for some reason. So who is the wide receiver you want? And do not say, I already saw the one. Don't say Julio Jones, dude. No. He's cooked, man. He's completely cooked.
He is cooked. He is cooked. But, you get a couple plays out of him, and it'd be pretty cool.
A couple plays, and he'll get hurt. He'll get hurt in friggin' warm-ups.
He's been cooked for a couple of years, unfortunately. But that's another guy where it's like, if you could get, like, a few plays out of him at the end of the year, it would be a nice piece. But legitimately, there really isn't many out there. But if it's not going to be Hopkins, like, I wouldn't mind like a Jarvis Landry if we're talking about like, everybody seems to be concerned about drops, which I mean that's a legitimate concern. You got Corey Davis, who, I mean, I don't have to say much about him. We've all seen what he's done. Alan Lazard, I've heard
same thing.
As we all have, we've heard the same thing. Mecole Hardman, he's more of a catch and run kind of guy, not really catch the ball in traffic type of thing. And Jarvis is a guy who throughout his whole career, he's been known for his hands. He's been known for catching the ball, and he's also a guy that could get – he has some rack ability. I think he's going to be 30 this season, something like that. But he's another player who throughout his career, he's been steady.
Yeah.
Always been a steady guy. Get those 50 catches, 600 yards every year type of thing.
So you look at – I agree about running back. I agree about wide receiver. Not sure about Landry. Now, you had the Chuck Clark injury, which is huge, man. That was such a kick in the ass out for the year where we are kind of like, you know what? He can do a lot of good things. He can play a hybrid. He can go down. Him and Whitehead are very similar. Like Clark, they kind of did the same thing. So I'm almost like it could almost made Whitehead expendable. But now it's like you got to count on him again. Would you still look for another safety, or do you feel comfortable with Amos, Adams, and Whitehead?
I don't feel comfortable, but what are the options? Get like a John Johnson. I mean, he's going to want to start. It's just you kind of at this point in the offseason with Clark going down, especially like Amos would have been a nice like backup type of guy.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable with him starting, and no, I don't think we could add another veteran safety. If we're going to add anything on the defense, I think it would be a linebacker, but
Quan. Yeah.
My personal opinion, I don't think they're going to do that either.
Really?
I don't think they're going to bring him back.
Why not?
You've had the two guys, the veneer for 3 years, same defense, same system, drafted together. I feel like Sherwood got some run last year, and he didn't play bad enough to where it's like, oh, we shouldn't give this guy a shot. But he also didn't play well enough to where you want to give him the shot. But you have him, you have Nasruddin. I just feel like we're gonna.
I go with the known commodity, dude. I don't play this game. I don't like. Well, he should do this. I go with known commodity over the unknown in this situation.
Chuck Clark getting hurt, I think that kind of changes the dynamic of it as well. I agree with you. I think they were going to have him as like a hybrid type of role.
Yeah.
To where, when we're playing nickel, maybe instead of him being the safety, he would kind of swap with Quincy Williams type of thing. I don't know, however you want to think of it, but with him going down, maybe you get Quan back, but at this point, I feel like we would have already had him.
Well, he always signs late. I think he's like Joe was saying earlier. It's like he waits to the last week before training camp. Like, all right, there's no need to sign now. I'll sign when I'm completely ready. I got all my own workouts done, my own shit. I can go on vacation, not answer any questions, deal with your nonsense. So, but let's get to the more important thing, Jomo. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is just living his best life as the quarterback of the Jets. His teammates love him. He loves his teammates. He's involved in everything. He seems really interesting interviews with Hackett and stuff on YouTube where like the players will talk, like the running backs would be in a room, like having a running back meeting, talking about like alignment, stuff like that. And there'd be a voice in the back, be like, no, try this. And Aaron Rodgers is sitting in the back of the running back room, listening to their meeting, trying to help them, which is just like, that's just wild, dude. Like that, It's just amazing to think all that what he's bringing to the table at every facet of this offense is just incredible, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, something that Saleh talks about, and something that I agree with, and I think it works in all real world scenarios. When you put your own investment into people, they will invest back into you, and that's kind of
Look at you. And now his light went out. That was almost your best point you've made so far.
But no, like to that point, I just feel like Rodgers, he, you know, he's gotten a bad rap his whole career, but I feel like he truly is a personable person. He's like a real person type of thing.
Yep.
And, you know, that's how you build relationships.
Yep.
And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the call is like, I'm not really worried about Hard Knocks because this guy is working his ass off.
Yeah.
I think the players are going to give it right back to him. I mean,
No,
I
it's
think,
just, but it's just like you see, he's helping the young players, like the running backs, the receivers. But then you also see that he's working with Sauce Gardner, saying, "Hey, Sauce, this is how I attack you. We'll change your this." Or he'll tell C.J. Mosley, "Hey, next time, don't do this. Come in a little closer. I saw you do it last time. That's why I picked on you." Like he's helping like a very good defense become better, telling them all their tendencies, which they probably didn't realize before because Zach Wilson couldn't tell him. Joe Flacco didn't give a fuck. And you know, it's like, but it's just amazing all the different things he's doing, and all the players are talking about it. Like you don't know what he's gonna bring to the table. Like is he gonna be standoffish? Is he gonna be like what? And he, like you said, dude, he is fully vested, man. Like he is all about this team.
and having Whitehead's comments, like hearing
Yeah.
Whitehead didn't have to say that.
Yep.
The fact that he came out and said like this reminds me of back in Tampa Bay, like that alone should give everybody like a sense of, all right, like we are really in this shit. Like
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is fully invested. He's giving the offense all the time it needs. He's giving the defensive guys all the time they need. Little pointers, like you said. I mean, it's unbelievable. I could not have expected it to go this well. You know, I thought he would come in and be committed, but this is like, I mean, he's running this fucking team. Like he is the coach on the field, and I wouldn't want it to be any other guy other than him. And you know, like Brady, but like fucking Aaron Rodgers running the New York Jets. It's like that's fucking unbelievable. I can't.
All right. So how many wins, man? What's the floor for this team? How many wins?
So for the division, I think it's only going to take 11 to win the division. I think it's going to be we're going to go into week 17. We already got the 11 wins, and what is it? Week 18. Sorry.
18, yep.
Go 18. We already got the 11 wins, and Zach Wilson plays. We have the division locked, and week 18 comes. Maybe we'll get the 12, but the 12 doesn't really matter. You know, I think it's going to be one of those deals. But if I have to predict, I'm going to say 11-6 with the locked. Maybe we tie with one of the teams, but I think we'll have the tiebreaker. I think the Bills, with all that chemistry bullshit going on over there, I mean, that really bleeds into a locker room, especially a locker room that has felt that they deserve to be in the Super Bowl for how many years now, and they can't make it. Whatever the circumstances, you know, they bitched and moaned about the overtime rule, and they got that overturned, and then they get fucking their doors blown off by Cincinnati here. And then last year, Josh Allen, I mean, he was not as good as he should be up to this point in his career.
He was banged up though.
He was banged up, sure, but
they lost at home in the snow. That's supposed to be the games they win, is those home games in the snow.
How many interceptions did he throw? Like, I mean, he not playing as well as he should to be in that tier of quarterback. The Dolphins, they're a good team. Yeah, they're a good team, but I don't think they're making any crazy noise. I think they're a wild card team.
Yep.
Patriots, we're gonna sweep them.
Yep. I'm with you, dude. I'm listening. I'm saying AFC East, man. They've got to be right there in the last week of the season, either like playing for the AFC East or locking it up. Like that's, and I respect the Bills. I think the Dolphins are a good team. They're 1-2 a hit away from him being gone. So, like you've got it, like with Aaron Rodgers, you've got to be better than the Dolphins. You got to be better than the Patriots, and you've got to be really, really damn close to the Bills. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
And
I want a home playoff game.
100%.
Need it. I need it.
I need to. I'm so ready. I'm ready for week 1, to be honest. I just want the home. I want the home this season to start.
I fucking like every morning I wake up, drive to work, and I'm like, fuck, Aaron Rodgers, Monday Night Football. Fuck yeah. Like one day closer. Like, let's go.
Well, Joe, good talking to you, man. I'm glad you're doing well. How's your girl doing?
She's good, man. Same thing. Puppy is a real big responsibility. The whole thing. She is tearing up everything.
Really?
I need a couch. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, dude. She completely ripped a hole in one of my couch cushions. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool right now.
But no, it's awesome. She's just got a lot of energy. She's a little yellow lab. Tons of energy. The other two, I got 3 now, and the other 2, they have so much fun with her. She's cool.
Where the hell do they sleep at?
They got their beds. Throughout the night, sometimes one of them will jump on the bed. But
yeah. Well, good talking to you, man. I'm glad you're doing well. You better stay in touch. We're like 3 weeks away from the season, from training camps. We're almost there, man.
Oh yeah, man. Are you going to Canton?
See, that's the problem, man. I want to go to Canton. I've been there before. I was there for Curtis Martin's ceremony, which was incredible speech, a lot of fun, a lot of drinking. It's the same weekend as Metallica, man. Like Metallica's Friday night and Sunday, and at MetLife.
Big.
And I'm an enormous Metallica fan, so.
Damn, dude.
Are you going to Canton?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe do a little weekend over there. I've never been. Revis, just growing up, he's fucking Revis. What more can you say? And then just being at that game, I think it would be pretty cool.
Go for it. No, dude, I go back and forth all the time. I'm like, all right, like Revis, Klecko. I'm a huge fan of Klecko too. But then I'm like, Metallica 2 days, MetLife, like Fridays.
It's a big deal, dude. I know that.
They both can be probably cost the same, man, because it's just Metallica tickets aren't cheap and neither is Canton. So it's probably the same investment.
They're playing there.
What's that?
They're playing there 2 nights at MetLife.
Yeah, Friday and Sunday, and 2 different set lists too. And then, but listen to it gets better. Like Pantera is opening up for them on Friday, and then Sundays Ice Nine Kills and 5 Finger Death Punch. So it's like, dude, like I don't know, man. So, but Jomo, good talking to you, man. I'm glad all is well, and then I'll talk to you again soon.
Man. You too. Take care, Tyson.
Later, dude. All right, we will wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. I think Prime Time and Tyrone are on tomorrow night, and I'll talk to you guys later.